We just got the 5th episode for the Disney Plus Star Wars series, The Acolyte, and I can't help but be reminded of this tweet I saw from Star Wars Theory that came out after the trailer was revealed. He said in this tweet, everyone in The Acolyte who sees a red lightsaber has to die. If they don't, prequel canon breaks. Maul was the first Sith to be seen in 1,000 years. We'll see. Maybe it'll be like Rogue One situation where they all get off. For this, someone asked, could there not be dark side users that aren't Sith? I don't think that would be an issue for canon. To which Theory replied, red lightsabers equals Sith to any Jedi. Anything other than Jedi equals Sith to any Jedi. And yeah, that seems like a fair thing to me. It's like the Jedi wouldn't necessarily distinguish, like, well, is that really a Sith or not? When Canon Monday said in episode 1, like, there hasn't been a Sith in a millennium. Is he going to also caveat that by saying, like, yeah, there was all these people that had red lightsabers and were force sensitive, but we don't talk about them because they weren't real Sith. We're only talking about real Sith. Like, no, they wouldn't distinguish that unless Disney does the George Lucas treatment and kind of goes back and changes Phantom Menace in order to make him say something like that so it can fit with what they're doing. I can't imagine them doing that, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it past them either. But after this latest episode, people have been trying to say, like, well, no, it wasn't actually a Sith or something like that. Or maybe Star Wars Theory is actually correct in this one, that all of them are going to die, because that could be the case after seeing what happened in the last episode. But if it doesn't, then yeah, it's possible that they could be breaking canon with this new series. The Acolytes episode 5 just revealed the identity of the mysterious Sith Lord, and it threatens to break Star Wars canon. After the Sith helmet took repeated hits, it was revealed that Chimera was a Sith Lord all along. This was theorized since the first time Manny Jacinto's character appeared on screen, and the reveal came in a heartbreaking fashion, with Jackie Lawn's Daphne Keene lifeless body initially obscuring the view of Chimera's face. Chimera referred to himself as a Sith when asked, and this may create issues moving forward in The Acolyte. It was theorized leading up to The Acolyte episode 5 that the Sith wasn't actually a Sith at all and was instead just a dark side user. While it's safe to assume that this Sith Lord doesn't go by Darth Chimera, it'll be interesting to see if The Acolyte retcons this character as another Sith Lord audiences have heard of before, or adds a new name to the Sith Order. And I think if they're going to do one or two of these, I think it'd be better just to add a new name as opposed to try to further change the lore that we already have, because adding to it, fine. Changing what's already there, not so much. That's something a lot of audiences don't like. And that's been a large problem with a lot of the Disney Star Wars stuff when they decanonize pretty much the entire Star Wars legends and are just saying that they're going to do their own thing. Sure, they'll use it as kind of a grab bag and pull from stuff so they can use it as justification for decisions that they're making. But then they also want to just kind of have their cake and eat it too, because they want to be able to pull from stuff when they can and then just disregard other stuff and just do whatever they want. And I think this is a lack of disrespect on the part of the studio towards the audience, because when you have people who actually do understand the Star Wars lore and you're just kind of saying as a studio, we'll just hope that they don't notice this sort of thing, you're basically saying you think the audience is dumb. Or if you're saying the people who do notice it don't matter because they're so few and far between, you're saying you don't care about their opinion, and that's the opinion of the hardcore Star Wars fans. And unfortunately for Disney, there's a lot of hardcore Star Wars fans, people who do really dive into Star Wars legends and will understand when you're trying to pull the wool over their eye. And that's largely why a lot of people have rejected this show and why you see such horrible reviews on sites like Rotten Tomatoes. They're trying to say that it's review bombing, and you still hear people making that excuse. But I just think, like, if it was to be review bombed, like if someone is just creating a bunch of bots to review bomb something, it's like, well, why stop at 13%, which is what it's currently at? It's like, why not go all the way to 1% or something like that? Like, really just see how far you can go with it. But the fact that people aren't doing that goes to show that I don't think it's a bunch of bots doing it. I think people are just overwhelmingly against what they're doing with this show. Star Wars The Acolyte is arguably the most controversial Star Wars release to date. The show faced heated reactions even before its release, largely due to controversial statements made by the cast and crew. Headline emphasis on the gayness of the show aggravated some fans who are frustrated with today's DEI politics, feeling that the series is being driven by a social agenda rather than focusing on storytelling. And yeah, she's pretty much made statements to that, saying that it's supposed to represent her own queerness and things like that. I've said before, it seemed like she was just trying to write Star Wars fan fiction, and people aren't necessarily interested in that, especially if you're someone who doesn't even take the effort to understand the Star Wars legends and you're just trying to write your own thing. And yeah, that's not really a good approach to doing things. She's since tried to walk this back and say like, oh, it's not about queerness and things like that, or people are overemphasizing that. It's like, well, no, people are just kind of repeating what you're saying, but since you saw the reaction to this, you're not really happy, so you're trying to backpedal on this and it's just not working. So why wasn't a solid episode enough to recover at least some of the ratings? The answer is simple. A catastrophic PR response to fan criticism exacerbated the situation. Disney needs to learn to listen to fan feedback and effectively communicate with its loyal fan base. And that's 100% true, because any other business, if you were to tell marketing executives, it's like you can hear exactly what your customers want. They'd be a fool not to accept that. But instead, Disney is being told by the fan base, like pretty clearly, this is what we want. This is what you need to do with your show. And they're just saying, no, we don't want to do that. We're going to do the opposite. In fact, we're going to attack you if you say what you want. And that doesn't seem like it's a very smart move. I've said in the past, and I still maintain that because I haven't been shown otherwise, that I think Disney is trying to get rid of the old Star Wars fan base. They paid billions of dollars for this franchise because it had that loyal fan base to it. But they've come to learn that they can't appease them because they just don't have enough competent people there to actually produce Star Wars content that the fans want. So instead, they're trying to get rid of them and bring in the new Star Wars fan base, the Disney Star Wars fan base. And I think this show was them really leaning into that and saying like, okay, fine. If this is what people don't like and this is what the Disney Star Wars fan base wants, we're going to try to appease them. I mean, we can see there's not a huge amount of people who like Disney Star Wars, judging by the viewership and by the audience scores, but still, I think they're going to use this as kind of like a jumping off point to try to build up the new Star Wars. So if you are a longtime fan of Star Wars, Disney Star Wars just isn't for you. I mean, if it wasn't in the past, it's definitely not now. And unless they do something drastic to try to change course, but I just don't see that happening. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to like and share the video because it helps out with the channel. Thank you.